time now for our story. Anyone who'd like to see the pictures is welcome to come forward. Thank you all for the beautiful welcome back. Our story this morning is called Henry Hikes to Fitchburg. For the grown-ups in the room, this is one of 3 picture books loosely based on events from Henry David Thoreau's life. One summer day, Henry and his friends decided to go to Fitchburg to see the country. "I'll walk," said Henry. "It's the fastest way to travel." "I'll work," Henry's friend said, "until I have the money to buy a ticket to ride the train to Fitchburg. We'll see who gets there first." His friend waved. "Enjoy your walk," he said. Henry walked down the road to Fitchburg. "Enjoy your work," he called back. Henry's friend filled the wood box in Mrs. Alcott's kitchen, 10 cents. Henry hopped from rock to rock across the Sudbury River. His friend swept out the post office, 5 cents. Henry carved a walking stick, 25 miles to Fitchburg. His friend pulled all the weeds in Mr. Hawthorne's garden, 15 cents. Henry put ferns and flowers in a book and pressed them. His friend painted the fence in front of the courthouse, 10 cents. Henry walked on stone walls. Henry's friend moved the bookcases in Mr. Emerson's study, 15 cents. Henry climbed a tree, 18 miles to Fitchburg. His friend carried water to the cows grazing on the grass in town, 5 cents. Henry made a raft and paddled up the Nashua River. Henry's friend cleaned out Mrs. Thoreau's chicken house, 10 cents. Henry crossed a swamp and found a bird's nest in the grass, 12 miles to Fitchburg. His friend carried flour from the mill to the village bakery, 20 cents. Henry found a honey tree. Henry's friend ran to the train station to buy his ticket to Fitchburg, 90 cents. Henry jumped into a pond, 7 miles to Fitchburg. His friend sat in the train in a tangle of people. Henry ate his way through a blackberry patch. Henry's friend got off the train at Fitchburg Station just as the sun was setting. Henry took a shortcut, 1 mile to Fitchburg. His friend was sitting in the moonlight when Henry arrived. "The train was faster," he said. Henry took a small pail from his pack. "I know," he smiled. "I stopped for blackberries." Thank you for being such good listeners. We'll sing you on your way.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Let us give now to support the work of this community. To donate via debit or credit card, please use the QR code on the back of the order of service or go to www.unitarian.org. www.uusavannah.org and click the donate button. Mailed checks are also welcome. Thank you for your generosity. Together, we are building a better world. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. So we have a joy from here in the congregation, from Bill and Jackie Pearson. Last week we celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. I have a sorrow for all of us, and that's for the wildfires in the US and Canada, for all those who lost their homes or their loved ones, and for the firefighters doing arduous shifts in extreme heat. Our hearts go out to them, you. And then, I have a big joy for all of us too. Joy for the biggest exchange of prisoners between Russia and the West since the Cold War. At last, these men and women are released and returned to their families. May the U.S. and its allies succeed in bringing more people home. Let us hold all our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, in our hearts as we join together in the responsive reading found in your order of service. Sorrow is everywhere.
Yet joy is reborn.
As we mourn together,
So we celebrate together.
and offer thanks,
That we are not alone.
so may it be now and in all the days to come.
Let's continue in a spirit of meditation. The words of meditation this morning are from Roselle Angwin, Lunasa poem. Even in rain, the flames burn bright. On the hill, the barley is dancing. Heart, make your first harvest. Extend your arms like rays of the sun to gather in all whom you love, and all too who feel themselves unloved. the broken, the lost, the abused, shadow dancers all. Gather them in, give them all bread, give them cause for laughter, for love. Amen. Our first reading this morning, moderation is not a negation of intensity, but helps avoid monotony, by John Tagliabue. Will you stop for a while trying to pull yourself together for some clear meaning, some momentary summary? No one can have poetry or dances, prayers or climaxes all day. The ordinary blankness of little dramatic consciousness is good for the health sometimes. Only Dostoevsky can be Dostoevskian at such long, tumultuous stretches. Look what that intensity did to poor great Van Gogh. Linger, lunge, scrounge, and be stupid. That doesn't take much centering of one's forces. As wise Whitman said, lounge and invite the soul. Get enough sleep, and not only because, as Cocteau said, poetry is the literature of sleep. Be a dumbbell for a few minutes at least. We don't want Sunday church bells ringing constantly. And from Mary Oliver, little summer poem touching the subject of faith. Every summer I listen and look under the sun's brass and even into the moonlight, but I can't hear anything. I can't see anything. Not the pale roots digging down, not the green stalks muscling up, nor the leaves deepening their damp pleats, nor the tassels making, nor the shucks, nor the cobs. And still, every day, the leafy fields grow taller and thicker, green gowns lofting up in the night, showered with silk. And so every summer I fail as a witness, seeing nothing. I am deaf, too, to the tick of the leaves, the tapping of downwardness from the banyan feet, all of it happening beyond any seeable proof or hearable hum. And therefore, let the immeasurable come. Let the unknowable touch the buckle of my spine. Let the wind turn in the trees and the mystery hidden in the dirt swing through the air. How could I look at anything in this world and tremble and grip my hands over my heart? What should I fear? One morning in the leafy green ocean, the honeycomb of the corn's beautiful body is sure to be there. Here end our readings. Please rise in body or in spirit for hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." I should have included in this morning's announcement Saturday's, it is Saturday, right, Yvette? Saturday's Readers Theater production of 12 Angry Jurors, which will happen here in the sanctuary. Tickets are available on Eventbrite, and the proceeds benefit the church. Church member Yvette Upton is one of the 12. She didn't look too angry this morning, but I trust she will be on Saturday, and I hope many of you, if you don't already have your tickets, will get them. And now we'll see if I remember how to do this. Poet Jennifer Grotz wrote, "Summer specializes in time, slows it down almost to dream. Summer lingers, but it's about ending. It's about how things redden and ripen and burst and come down." I feel the paradoxical quality of summertime she describes most acutely in August, which has always seemed to me a kind of peculiar time at church. I'm back from my summer break. Many of you have returned from summer travels as well, because students, teachers, and professors have returned to classrooms and lecture halls, or will very soon. But though the church's fiscal year started July 1st, our new program year doesn't start until the Sunday after Labor Day. Our staff here at UUCS and our board and our committees are preparing to do church in the new year while doing church now. August isn't last year, and it isn't this year. Yet here we are in the space in between one year and the next. Even apart from church life, August is an in-between time. It's still summer, with the autumnal equinox 7 weeks off from today. And in much of the northern hemisphere, certainly including Savannah, the weather feels like summer. but hours of daylight have begun to decrease, and noticeably so. With the coming and going of August 1st a few days ago, we are now closer to the end of summer than the beginning of it. In both the Christian tradition and the ancient Celtic tradition, August 1st is a holy day, marking the halfway point of summer and celebrating the first fruits and grains of the new year's harvest, Lammas and Lunasa, respectively. Early August is a time of abundance, ripening, gathering. As indeed we are gathering, a congregation that even if every single one of us was gone for some portion of the summer has never wavered in its being, its wholeness, its holiness. A congregation of abundance and ripe with possibilities. Most of our lives, the days and the hours, aren't spent in church or church pursuits. Well, mine are. And most of our lives, the months, aren't lived in August. But in between times, oh yeah, that's where we dwell. We have a name for it in childhood, the tweens, when kids are not yet teenagers, but not exactly young children anymore either. Child development experts have identified a set of physical, emotional, and psychological characteristics that define this stage that roughly corresponds with middle school. But for those who are tweens, it's just life, and often a life of not yet. Not yet old enough for all the freedoms they desire, freedoms that the explosion of media and social media in recent decades have made more visible and more enticing than ever. Perhaps that's why, though the word itself has been around much longer, its usage has become almost ubiquitous since its appearance in a 1987 article in the magazine Marketing and Media Decisions. Regardless of contemporary origins as a designation to aid marketing, the tweens are a time when kids are often expected to step up to household responsibilities and levels of academic rigor beyond that of their younger years, while being denied those aforementioned freedoms, later curfews, less supervision, consumption of more media, etc. It's a time of acutely felt betweenness. Once we pass through the tweens and the teens, in-between times become a way of life. The time between beginning a new teaching career and earning tenure. The time between completing adoption paperwork and home studies and being matched with a child. The time between the end of winter holidays and the beginning of summer vacation. The time between beginning a job search and landing a job. The time between undergoing a medical test and receiving the results. Between submitting a manuscript and receiving a publishing contract. Between the heartbreaking end of a cherished relationship and the beginning of healing and trust. Between making an offer on a house and moving in. Between starting a new job and receiving the paycheck, the time between elections and change, between communications from estranged children or friends or siblings, the time between putting the cupcakes in the oven and serving them for dessert after supper. If this sermon were a bumper sticker slogan, it would be a variation on the classic, "Life is what happens while you're making other plans." It would be, "Life is what happens while you're waiting for the next thing to happen." Our lives are a long, sometimes overlapping series of times in between something that happened and another thing we hope will happen, or at least expect to happen. Depending on our particular circumstances at any given instant, the in-between times can be frustrating, even discouraging, filled with nervous fidgeting, repetitive, swirling thoughts, cycles of despair, boredom, and hope as we wait for something to happen, to change, to arrive. Tinged often by doubt or even fear. Will what we're awaiting arrive at all? And if it does, will it be what we truly want? Or perhaps something so different from what we expected that in the end we'll wish we were back where we started. Other times, the in-between times have a quality perhaps best summed up by W.H. Auden in these lines from his Christmas oratorio, "For the time being." But for the time being, here we all are, back in the moderate Aristotelian city of Darning and the 815, where Euclid's geometry and Newton's mechanics would account for our experiences, and the kitchen table exists because I scrub it. Life in between the big events of life. Often dull, unexciting, and uninspiring, especially if compared to the larger, brighter, more productive, creative, prosperous, or meaningful lives of others. Lives we used to get carefully curated glimpses of only in annual Christmas letters, but now we see every day on social media. We've all experienced life that way, dull in comparison to some perceived ideal, dull even sometimes in comparison to earlier stages of our own lives. And when we do, while we may wallow for a while in the self-pity of not having somehow achieved a bigger, better life, or the self-recrimination of not doing whatever would have given us less dull and uninspiring lives, sooner or later, after the wallowing and the self-pity and the recrimination, we probably give ourselves a good talking to, reminding ourselves that this is what it means to be a grown-up. Life is mostly monotony between much bigger anticipated events. And that's a good thing most of the time. It gives our brains and our nervous systems and usually our finances a break. As John Tagliabue wrote in this morning's reading, the ordinary blankness of little dramatic consciousness is good for the health sometimes. Only Dostoevsky can be Dostoevskian at such long, tumultuous stretches. We don't want Sunday church bells ringing constantly. Sometimes, in fact, when we've had long, eventful, tumultuous stretches or long stretches of constantly ringing celebratory bells, sometimes we don't have enough in-between time. And we long for the monotony of a time that is neither the big thing that has happened, nor the big thing that will happen. How could I look at anything in this world and tremble and grip my hands over my heart? What should I fear? One morning in the leafy green ocean, the honeycomb of the corn's beautiful body is sure to be there. In our second reading this morning, Mary Oliver offers a third perspective on times such as the month of August at church and other in-between times. Neither the enervating dullness of Auden's kitchen table nor the simply sanity-preserving break from drama of Tagliabue's welcome monotony, but rather the promise that though we can neither see nor hear nor otherwise observe it, something ripens in the time-slow season of summer, and thus we need not tremble and fear. Could it be so in our lives too? In the long stretches between submitting the paperwork and learning our fate, tenure, a child, a house, a diagnosis, is something ripening in us, turning from green to gold, ready for the harvest in the fullness of time. When it feels like the months stretching into years between communication from our estranged loved ones are destroying our spirit day by long day, could it be that some seed rooted deep within our spirit is cracking open, growing plump and rich, readying itself to feed a reconciliation? Are the in-between times not characterized by stalling and inertia and inaction, but rather by an outer stillness beneath which abundance and possibility burgeon toward fruition? That rather than times of monotony and dullness we must endure until the next big thing happens, they are times of miracle, unobserved but real. And that when the next big thing comes, not after the in-between time, but out of the in-between time. Can we have faith enough to neither tremble, nor fear, nor wish away the in-between time? May August be that for us here at church. A holy time during which miracles have their way in us and among us and around us. Miracles, the evidence of which will be revealed to us at the next season's turning. Amen. Will you please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, number 246, Soon the Day Will Arrive. And now, beyond the power of any spoken word, May the Spirit do its persuasive work in our hearts, our minds, and our bodies, that we may go our ways in openness and love, charged with new creative energy and at peace. Amen.